again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love. Once again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And you know what? Today's Sunday. It's Sunday. I went to church. I got all this preachiness in me. I got all this love of God going with me today. I'm starting a little bit early. So sincerely to all of you who are already here, Andy, you called it, brother. You called it. It's going to be a good one today. It is going to be a good one today. I can feel it. Praise God indeed. Right? This topic, this idea, celebrating in the nature of God's love. Just feel those words for yourself, right? What would it feel like to celebrate in the nature of God's love? Well, maybe we can figure some of that out today. Austin Murphy, don't be bitter. Drop the bitterness and you'll find more joy. I promise you that, okay? Not just Austin, but all of you. Hey, brother, amen. I'm glad to hear that. Congrats on that. So, be sober with joy, right? Be sober with joy. Practice that. Actually, this is some of the things we're going to get into. Praise God indeed. Today, in the background, right? The reminder of me and with me is love reveals heaven, right? Heaven is what we want. We know it's home. Consider heaven home with God, with love. That's where home is. Home is where your heart is. So be with your heart in heaven with love in this lifetime. Don't wait till after you die to experience God's love. Do that while you're here. That's the whole point of everything, man. Oh, yeah, I meant to do it like this. Let today be a day to recognize, celebrate, and unite with the timeless nature of God's love. And we can really unpack those ideas, right? And that's what I hope to do. That is what I hope to do. Austin, I'm telling you, man. Austin, go live your greatest life. I encourage that. Everyone, go live your greatest life. You know this, right, Ruby? Amen. Hey, you know what? Let me get back to this. It's in the description too, but the intention to walk with love, right? That's how you discover and celebrate the nature of God's love as you walk with love. And you're not going to do anything without a clear intention, right? So within yourself, you don't have to be perfect, but you got to be perfectly honest. Be honest about your intention to walk with love. And then it becomes a practice, right? The intention to walk with love becomes a practice, opening opportunities to witness growth in love. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't growth in love be better than growth in suffering or growth in whatever? Poverty, disease, loneliness. I mean, you can grow anything you want while you're here. That's kind of the amazing part of this life that we've been given. It really is. The nature of life is life, right? The nature of life is to grow. To grow is to change. That's why the only thing that is constant in your life is you and change. So just align you and change together and become the change that each moment deserves, right? But be generous and be kind and be present with each moment, knowing that your purpose is to be here and now and to serve here and now as you grow. I hope that's making sense. I mean, it's really simple. What Jesus and God has lined up for us, I have a feeling it's pretty incredible. I really do. I went to church this morning. I had a wonderful sermon, and again, it was continuation on the messages of Breakfast with Jesus, the story of after the resurrection when Jesus is on the beach and meets the others, and very inspiring this morning, right? The message from church I went to was don't fall into the old, right? Don't go back to the old ways. Don't resort to the worldly ways. Be in the likeness of Jesus, the master, the one who was there to show us and to lead us and to protect us. Right? That's what it's all about. It's all about relationship. Relationship with love. That's really what life is about. It's a glorious, complex, mystical experience, this moment of life that you and I are sharing. The magic of water. I mean, we could pause and think about that, how incredible it is. There's actually science and evidence that shows that perhaps water can carry memories. How peculiar is that? But that would make sense. We carry memories and we're mostly water, are we not? We're just waters and salts and minerals that create proteins and digestive things, and then we get bacteria and parasites. Hey, blessings to you. Much love for the support, the contributions. More lies from the proletariat to the advertisement networks. Bigger secret, supported by internet service providers for national security. How is the proletariat lying to the advertisement networks? Is it more lies for the proletariat from the advertisement networks? Bigger secrets supported by internet supporters for, I don't know, man. Hey, Hank, I love your support, man. I'm glad you're here. I really am. I really am. Thank you, Chucksty. Here's after church, I tuned into an old, my old church back home in Spokane, my old church from Spokane that I was familiar with. They rebroadcast on YouTube as well. So I tuned in for their online part. And that sermon was about, well, it was about many things, but the message I took away from it was the intention from God for you and me, all of us, to progress, to develop, to become into a likeness of Jesus. It's like perfection is a continuing process, right? But it's the process that you are on. If you allow yourself to be on a process of perfecting yourself, improving yourself, it's really not that hard. But the summation I took away from church this morning: don't fall into the worldly ways, don't resort back to your old ways, right? Be aligned, right? Be dutiful to the teaching and the love of Christ, right? Be with that so that you are sanctified, you are set apart, you're separated from the crowd, right? Be in the likeness of Jesus and be true. Be in the likeness of Jesus as you, Be in the likeness of Jesus as you and be true. Be authentic. When you're authentic, you're honest. When you're honest, you're not corrupted. And the only thing that can corrupt you is you. Okay? If you want to believe you're a sinner, you're going to behave as a sinner. You'll live as a sinner. And then you'll probably die as a sinner, wishing you'd have lived better. I lived as a sinner. I did. I was miserable. I was lost. I was confused. Oh, I was so miserable. I thought I was so great, but I didn't really. That's where the contradiction came in. I was just a complex contradiction. I was a good man trying hard in a corrupted world, right? Things are unfair. And I took that personally. Well, that can't be right. That's not fair. And since it wasn't out fair out there, where I couldn't be fair in here, and then I had to be upset and miserable and all angry inside. And, that got old for a while. After a while, I mean, it took me like 40 something years to finally grow out of some of my bitterness and my bitchiness, my helplessness. Snafu's texting me. Oh, I fucking love you, dude. What'd you say? Nazi trash, fake love, full of evil, Jack. That's what Snafu Snaps is telling me now. Oh my God, brothers and sisters, I just want to point something out to you. Whoever you are, whenever you are, if you're tuned in with me in the here and now, number one, bless you. I'm going to swing back to you. But if you're here with me in the later time, right, God bless you as well. Why was I pointing that out? There's something I wanted to remind you of. What did I want to remind you of just now? The fact is, we are here and now. We are together. And there is something magical happening. I want you to believe in that. I want you to not believe in that. I want you to accept that as a fact that I believe that. I feel that confidently, that something magical is about to happen. Miracles, right? Miraculous things, unexpected things, unanticipated things. Who we are. If you're here with me, I can assume you're a lot like me, right? You're on this path through time in the human form, whatever gender, whatever color, whatever, right? We're going through time in this human form and we're trying to figure things out, right? But we really do. We live in a world of lies. And these lies, man, they can get to you. It's hard to know what is real and what's not real when it's very likely this is a simulated matrix, right? Things are not always as they seem, and things are always different than they were because everything's changing, right? So if you just kind of allow yourself to settle into the flow, okay? Settle into the flow. What was the words? Hold on tight, let go loosely, right? Just be both. Be strong and compromising, right? Be unmoving but grounded, or I don't know, flexible. We're here to become all things. That is what I know, because God is all things. Therefore, we will be like God by the end of all things, right? That's the whole process. This process of time and development. It is an unfolding. This is something I thought about recently too. I'd heard that word unfolding. What the fuck does that mean? It doesn't. The universe doesn't unfold. That doesn't make any sense, Jack. Does that mean it's folded up? It's all balled up? Time and matter and energy? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more like waves and ripples, right? And then energies and things, they just create these boundaries and forms and beings, but it's Now I just took us way away from where I wanted to be. Huge blessings to you, man. Came to watch Jack have another meltdown. Don't disappoint me, Jack. You know what? Every day is 50-50. We never know what we're going to get. Thank you, Jeeves. Yeah. Hold on tightly, let go lightly. It is the way of love. It is the way of love. The unfolding. That's what I was trying to get to. I confused myself there for a moment. Thank you for your patience. Took me a long time to understand that. I think it is accurate on the unfolding of each moment. It's a revealing. It's already there, but it's just not in our experience yet. The potentiality and all of the variables, everything is already there. It's just a matter of aligning our awareness and our consciousness into the experience. I got this message, and I know I can unpack this one too. Maybe I should come back. Well, I'll unpack some of these things after I bring people up. You know what, Andy? Bless you, Matt. I love this. Have a Jesus-filled day, everyone. Amen. And unfold used metaphorically to reference a series of events playing out. Perhaps that is the meaning. Thank you, Andy. That seems pretty clear in that context, doesn't it? My mind resisted the idea of unfolding, but it truly is. It's just we are the result of a series of events playing out. So the universe unfolded us into becoming, right? Oh, that was my thought earlier today. While at church, during songs of praise, got the band going at front and singing songs about praise of God and love of God. And this thought came up for me. There is no God like the one who created you to become you. There is only that one God. And there is no other God. There is no God like the one who created you to become you. Because that was a masterful creation. And that, wow, feeling heart emotions going right there. But tied to the memory, it reminds me of something else I wanted to point out. This idea of searching for a purpose, right? Discovering meaning. I found a lot of tricks and explanations, ways that might help with individuals finding clarity on that. Meaning and purpose is what I'm talking about. But recently I was reminded by a friend from somewhere else that, the purpose is here and now. So let me swing back to you. You who are here with me in the here and now, especially, right? You are my purpose for living right now because you're here with me. And I live for you. And that's really all God wants, Jesus wants, is for us to live for one another and to let that be true. But how do you know who to live for? Because if you try keeping track, I live for this person, but not that person. I'll die for this person, but I won't do anything for this person. You start playing that fucking math and nonsense. It takes up space in your head, your memory. So what I found is to simplify it, be with God, be with love, celebrate in the nature of God's love. Okay. Let today, each moment of a day, let that be a moment, a time to recognize and celebrate and unite with the timeless nature of love. Okay? Because love is the source and the goal is the beginning and the end, and love reveals heaven. I found that to be true. It's in line with the teachings of the Bible, the gospel. It's the good news. Love reveals heaven, but your God's love, your love, those two, you got to line those together or else you are lost. And that brings me back to this other question I asked. Where did that go? Where are you absent from love? First, where are you if you are absent from love? I suggest if you're absent from love, you're visiting hell. You know, and sometimes we go through these deserts, these droughts where things seem bleak. It seems like hell, but you got to really be smart about those times and you got to train your mind on where to look, right? Because if you look in the right places, you're going to find God. You're going to find God's love, and it's going to be around you and with you and within you and through you and for you. And when you know that, you're following the way of Jesus. Pretty sure that's what they were teaching. Pretty sure that's what it was supposed to mean. You know what, man? I'm going to yeah, let's go ahead and we'll see what this means. We'll drop the link, see where it goes to join today's discussions with Jack and God's love. Please feel free to do so. Okay. Um, I don't know who that is. And after yesterday, I noticed we seem to have attracted a bunch of real fascinating tests for me, I guess. And we've already got a guest here in the back. Jim, what's going on with you, Jim? Jim, speak or be gone. All right. Have a good day. And I'll tell you what, Snafu, I will bring you up after a more polite guest. I'm going to bring the polite up first, and then, hey, Hank, how you doing?
Pretty good. Can you hear me, Jack?
I can. How are you, brother?
I'm doing well. So let me explain the super chat a little bit.
Please.
We already discussed bigger secrets supported by the internet service providers. They need to make user accounts support not 15 characters, but a more modern number like 128 characters. So any kind of passphrase can be put in the account for national security reasons. And Trump needs to get this message. I'm probably gonna X at him today. And for the first line to advertising networks, I mean, use VPNs, use TOS, use multiple accounts. They don't need to have all our data. They're getting greedy with our data. They don't need our data. We need to start deceiving them because they think they can control us with the data. So we're going to tell them what we want them to know. They don't deserve our data. They don't need to manipulate us. And we can do this for free.
I didn't catch all of that. Your volume started out pretty soft. I ended up turning you up a little bit, Hank.
Yes.
Um,
Advertising networks do not need our data. They want our data. They don't deserve our data. So we should be using tools like VPNs, TOS, multiple accounts, modifying our user agents to tell them what we want them to see. Show them what we want them to see. They don't deserve to know us. the greedy mega corporations who want to deceive us, lie to us, steal from us, scam us, they don't need to know us.
Um,
They're the worldly. We don't need.
I agree. Now the part behind that, right? We got to look at the systems involved in these things because any executive, ooh, holy cows, this was something from church today. Stood out to me, something I hadn't considered. And it's regarding Jesus, but let me complete where we were first. The CEOs, they're operating under their rules, their policies, right? The rules and the policies of a publicly traded company are that profits are the number one focus, right? So all of these advertisement networks, all the internet service providers, Hank, they're existing for profits, right? So until we fix the systems, we're going to be at war. I agree. These agencies don't need more of our data, not in the direction that they're working towards. So let's change the rules.
Well, change the rules will be great as long as we get able to write the rules. But while we're playing their game, we're going to cheat at it. We're going to win because they have expectations. We're just gonna stop meeting, and then they don't know. They won't know what to do. And we'll do it till they comply with our wishes.
Um, yeah. Here, tell you
We'll
what,
poison their data.
we can do a lot of things. And Hank, I'm glad you're here. And Snafu, I may bring you up in a moment. I want to see Jim, did you have technical difficulties? You're back here again. Jim. All right. I think we're done with you. All right.
Yeah, I guess give Pony Boy, I guess, time in the spotlight. Let's see if he screws up.
Yeah. Here. No, it's not actually Jim. It was a different name entirely. It was Roel Olpindo. Olpindo.
Ooh, that's a stinky name.
Yeah, it's not our friend Jim. And after yesterday, like I said, it's yeah, we had a few attempts and one incident. So yeah, I'm gonna stay frosty. I'm gonna stay chill. We're gonna pay attention, keep things good. And so tell you what, Hank, thank you for the encouragement. I'm gonna bring Snafu up, but there's a requirement, okay? Oh, and actually, you're right. Even in the chat, he was already being outrageously disrespectful. Okay, so here's the thing, Snafu. I know as an adult man, it's easy for you to get heated. Okay, it's easy for you to get excited. But I also know as an adult man, it's easy for you to recognize respect. Okay, so I'm going to bring you up and you're welcome to stick around as long as we can share respect with each other. Welcome, Snafu.
Let's talk about respect then. How respectful is it that you and I were getting along? You had modded me. I was staying out of my business. And when Jim came up last night, I came in the chat and you had me backstage, left me backstage. I wanted to ask Jim, since he talked about communicating with the aliens and the grays, I wanted to ask him like questions instead of guru fuck shit like you and Paul do. And then Paul cried because he was jealous about me being modded. Okay. And that's what started this whole shit show with Paul. And he cried to you. You unmodded me. You talked a bunch of shit about me and Tommy. How is that respectful, Jack? And then what's funny, he pulled the shit he pulled.
Okay.
I mean, Paul unmodded you a couple years ago because you weren't using them properly you gained and lost mods twice this year in Jack's space. So it's not very respectful on your part, Pony Boy.
Um, I don't know what this is. Well, Jimbo John show. I don't. I'm sorry, Hank. What were you saying?
I mean, Snafu Snaps gained and lost mods twice on your show this year because he doesn't understand respect. We will educate you on respect, and if you keep this up, you may be disappearing. You may be going on vacation again.
Yeah. Snafu, I put you in the back, and I'm sorry for the delay. I got distracted. Jimbo, I think I unblocked you. I looked at your channel. You've come up twice, and the audio wasn't working. It looks like you're streaming right now, so I'm not sure what's going on, but I think I unblocked. Now, Snafu, please, I wanted to slow you down. We'll come back to the things you said. Um, what is going on with you? Stop flashing so much, dude. Chill out. Just chill.
To you one-on-one than with this retarded child groomer. We all
No,
saw Hank
no.
groom children. No, I don't have anything to say to child groomer. I'll talk to
It's
you.
just you
He's
and
a
me.
fucking predator, bro. He plays children games, luring fucking minors to talk to. Hank
Calm down.
O'Flamo grooms children, motherfuckers.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Fucking piece of shit. Fuck grooming children.
Hello. Redirect. What was that about? How bizarre. I mean, I tried to accommodate. What is going
you
on
have a
with you?
fucking child groomer.
All right. Tell you what, you take a break. I'm going to bring Hank back up. I'm going to be done with this nonsense today. Thank you, Snafu. Have a good day. Now, also, for whatever reason, we've got Jim here. Jim, you're back up again.
Speak up, Jimbo. Fix your audio. Test your audio.
You're here on the panel. I'm not sure what.
You need to fix your audio routing.
Yeah, you claimed it's going to work this time. I have a feeling you're not here to support me, Jim. So, no, we're going to move forward with this.
Yes, so Jim, for your homework, I want you to practice StreamYard and figure it out on your operating system so we can get the audio going all the way through.
Yeah. You know, I know a lot of these are tests for me. They're distractions, right? The universe. I have a purpose. And when you have a purpose, you're going to be tested. You're going to receive a lot of distractions and opportunities to change, to do what you're against what you want to do. It's the ways we're designed, guys. The stuff in the Bible, there is so much truth in there. All right, Jeeps, thank you for checking it out. I'm not sure what's what's the deal.
Yeah, I also checked his page, so that's why I figured out what was going on. He was trying to use StreamYard, and many times it's I only made it get it working a couple of times. I had to do something stupid, like I had passed output from one browser back to itself or into another browser to get it work. It's very annoying. That's why I'm gonna personally move away from StreamYard as soon as I get something better working.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Hey, Michael, blessings to you, to all of you who are here. I tell you what, man. What is this? And there you have it. Another crew of degenerates come to Troy again. I'll remind you, a group of drunkards. It's fascinating what is sent to me in this realm. Hey, okay. Now I've got a face. And actually, I think I recognize this one. Let me welcome Jim.
Thank you. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me?
I do now. I do now.
So I'm not entirely sure which gym you had on yesterday, but I'm obviously a different gym.
Yes, you are. And I didn't recognize the name. It didn't connect. I
Yeah,
once
I
I
really I really didn't appreciate that you announced my name backstage, but we could move forward.
okay. I
Uh,
thank you.
we, well, we can announce your name in chat too because you posted in chat, so it's kind of everyone knows it.
No, in the chat it's his channel name. And I get what he's saying.
Well, all
Um
channel names can be dereferenced to channels now since the change in January.
okay. Anyway, Jim, thank you for joining me again. I appreciate. How are things going with you?
Um Honestly, could I be brutally honest with you?
Please do.
I I mean, after what I say, you're probably not going to appreciate me very much. I'm
Okay.
not going to say anything too like bad, but I personally think that you are a soft Christian, and
Hmm.
you're like good feelings type of guy, and you just, dude, you say that your prayers were never answered, and yet you're over here trying to speak the gospel when the gospel clearly says to have power, love, and a sound mind.
Mhm.
Dude, you're kind of you're kind of soft, man.
I mean,
I'm
you're not saying
so,
anything I haven't said to myself, so get in line.
um that's fascinating. I quite honestly disagree. Hey, we've got another guest, and perhaps Ruby, how are you, my
Hey, I'm good. How are you? And hi, Jim. Hi, everyone.
friend?
How's it going?
What's up,
Beautiful.
Ruby?
If
Not
I
much.
may,
Jim,
no,
I just want to say don't take out your anger on Jack and don't come for his faith. That seems silly. I know you've had a really difficult time recently, and I do sympathize with that, but I don't think that he's soft on Christianity at all. He's going to church. He's doing streams that aren't just about crashing out on random women online and getting drunk. Not to be brutally honest or anything, but come on, dude.
So what? You've been tuning into my stream and haven't even said anything? I thought we were friends.
Well, I clicked on it and it was kind of like upsetting, and I didn't want to see you in that way, honestly. And yeah, people have let me know that you're not doing so incredible. And it's like,
hmm,
I think it's good to talk about, but
Ruby,
coming in
thank you.
with attacking is crazy.
Sorry to interrupt, but Ruby, thank you, genuinely. So, Jim, what's your feedback on that?
On what exactly?
What Ruby was offering? That maybe you're not the best one who should be out there trying to diminish the faith or call out perhaps a lack of faith in others? Were you
Well, yeah,
recently streaming and drinking and talking about women online publicly as a young man?
maybe,
Is
perhaps.
that what you were raised to do?
Not exactly.
Okay. All right.
And I
Yeah, I
think
would.
Jim has a good heart. I think he has issues which I super relate to, and I've been a mess online for a long time, so I don't have any judgment. But, I do think it's just kind of needlessly hurtful to come on and just instantly go for, someone's faith that's obviously like a really big priority for them. And I know
No,
your faith is important.
I'm not saying he's not saved, but um yeah, maybe in his old age he sees the faith as something different, but I am 32. I am basically in my prime, so
Oh yeah.
um this is
How disappointing.
denying your flesh is not a soft feel good message, okay?
Hey
Denying your
Jim.
flesh? The spirit lusts
Eh,
against the flesh and the flesh against the spirit. What are you talking about?
Oh no, he thinks it's hard. He thinks it's hard to deny the flesh. He doesn't realize the simple path with Christ and God. All things are beautiful and easy and true. Not always easy. Simple, I'd say, right? Because love is simple. You just got to recognize it and trust it, open up to it, be willing to, right? Love. Love is the way, Jim. If you think that sounds soft, you're in the right place. I'll tell you what, I offer this regularly, Jim. I can put it in the back too, but where the heck is that? Feel free to reach out, Jim. There's my
everyone who's against me is the reason why society's headed the way it is. Y'all are fucking soft.
And you're really hard and tough, and you have a lock on truth and reality and faith that you feel like you can be against the Bible, which said to not judge and condemn others, and that you
I'm not
can't know
against the
another's
Bible.
heart.
I I love I love the Bible. I love the
But
I
truth.
you just
know.
don't.
We've talked
You
I've
about
just
that.
got
don't.
That's
it
why I'm
right
kind of
here.
disappointed. You're coming in so hot. I'm like, dang,
I've got the Bible right here.
hallelujah.
Hey, blessings. Actually, this can apply to all of us. This is beautiful. Gobbledygookish, thank you for the contribution. Do not mock my messenger, saith the Lord. Really, we can all do better to listen. I do get triggered though. And Ruby, thank you for calling out what you did.
Well, I've known Jim for a while, and
Okay.
we've had some really awesome conversations, and he does his channel. I just know that, he was having a hard time recently, and it seemed like he was just kind of coming in hot. And it's, when you blame everyone else for your internal battles, that doesn't really allow you a path to get out, in my opinion.
Those are words from wisdom. Probably experience, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
someone who learned everything the hard way is still learning everything the hard way, will continue to be a nightmare person in some qualities, I'm sure, but at least in that regard, a big thing for me has been like not feeling like I'm just a victim of my circumstances or of all the people out to get me, and that everyone's wrong and I'm right, and blaming people for, you know, my own actions, so on and so forth.
Love that. This is something there was reminded me of an earlier thought I had. Can any of these men turn up with something they love, something they care about or are passionate about, instead of what they oppose? I was recognizing in myself the potential I have to want to fight, right? To fight against is the natural way, right? Because that's how we protect ourselves. Those who are afraid fight against, right? Those who lead with love, follow love, they fight for. And that's what I want to do now. I actually don't want to fight anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, because
And
you're
God, I'm
soft.
not, how am I doing our boy wrong?
Hey,
What?
Jim. Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm a Jim
You
fan.
stand behind those words,
What?
young man? You stand behind those words?
That you're soft?
Yeah, I'm calling you out as a little bitch.
Oh.
Is that what you're used to? That's what you want to see to recognize? You think that's a man? You think that's what I should be? I mean,
You asked for this, Jim.
Well, by calling you soft, I was basically saying I wasn't trying to be too harsh on you, but that's my own version of calling you a bitch.
I know. And what would help you to see that you're wrong, right? That you're taking what's within you and you're trying to paint it outside onto me. But Jim, there's something beautiful. There really is. And let me soften this, okay? You're in
All
the
right.
perfect spot, Jim. God and the Holy Spirit has brought all of us into being here and now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what do we want to do? Do we want to bitch and call each other bitches? Or do we want to be soldiers for Christ, uniting together with love as commanded, right? You identify as a Christian, Jim?
Yes.
All right. Well, then you know I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
I know. It's humbling. Sometimes it's stronger to be soft, Jim. And as a man, I think you're doing pretty good, all right? You've presented yourself with me. You're confronting me, you're challenging me, but you're doing so with respect. I mean, with at least some manners and I think you're presenting yourself well. You're representing yourself well, Jim. Okay? But I promise you, you're wrong about me. I ain't soft.
Fair enough.
So yeah, and Jim, I know you love stuff. You're passionate about going to the gym. I know you love the Bible. I know you love God. And there are those like positive things, but I don't know what obstacles you're facing in your life, so it's easier from an outside view, you know. And I didn't want to sound judgmental about your stream. I just kind of got the feeling like maybe it was some misdirected anger a bit.
Does that sound
What
right?
part? What part did you tune into?
What part? I just saw it was you were upset that I don't want to say the person's name, but like this, she was in a chat of someone, and it seemed like that was upsetting. But I know you've been streaming a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, how does that feel? I mean, how does that hit, Jim? Does it sound like you've been having, do you feel like you've been having some tough times, life challenging you in some ways recently?
Yeah, I mean, if you're used to seeing me, I obviously look rough compared to I usually do.
Okay. I don't see you that often.
Yeah.
So I can
Definitely not
see,
the roughest visual that comes on this panel, so don't even worry about that, Jim. You're good.
yeah, you look beautiful as a young man, but your eyes have a heaviness to them. I see a heaviness in your eyes, if that's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's great news. Okay. All this shall pass. You know this, right? You're not alone in your struggles, although nobody can get through your struggles but you. But brother, seriously, there's a reason you're here with me. When I start this stream, my faith today, my love of God today. All right, gum. My love of God today. It really is. It keeps growing. I
Yeah.
never knew that I could love something intangible, inexplainable, unprovable, right? And yet undeniable to me. I never knew. Jim, what if the point of being you is to love being you? What would help you love being you today?
Um just eating right and washing your face, shaving, taking a shower. No, but no, so if 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 I could add something. So
Please.
Actually, real quick, I
uh
just gotta run. I just wanted to pop on and say hi. Jim, always pleasure. Hank, always pleasure. Jack, always pleasure. Have a great stream, guys.
Thank you, Ruby. Blessings to you. Thank you, Jim.
um
Please.
so it wasn't supposed to be serious to begin with, but for some reason a part of me wanted to like over exaggerate and push this hurt more than it had to be, and so I drank and I lashed out on people. I don't know what it is, because the things that I want to do I don't do, and the things I don't want to do I do.
Who else wrote that? Wasn't that the writing of Paul in some of the letters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we can relate. But let's remember that through Christ, all things are found. So where is Christ in relationship to you?
Where is Christ in relationship to me? He's my
Mhm.
Lord and Savior.
But in the here and now,
I'm not sure.
okay. When you
Is
sit
he
in the,
observing everything we do?
I'm confident he is. He's with you. The Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is what he lived by. His wisdom and his being is true. It's with us. It's in the holy version of you, Jim. There's a
Uh-huh.
version of you without sin, that's without bad habits, that's without unhealthy thoughts, without unhealthy practices. There's a holy version of you, a version of Jim that is just like Jesus. And he's waiting to
Yeah.
be lived, right?
Uh-huh.
The only way to live like Jesus is to do what he said to do. The thing he said to do
Love
was
your
to love one
neighbors.
another.
Yeah.
Who do you not love, Jim?
Um, I don't love a lot of people, but when I do love, it's fiercely and too passionately, and it rips my heart out.
Jim, I can relate to you quite a bit. I really can. Um, the answer for you, it's going to be a similar path, right? We're all different. So the key that unlocks your freedom, your happiness, is going to be a little bit different than what worked for me. Okay. But I know I paid attention, guys. For those who are tuned in and listening to me, if you're interested in connecting with me, please do. The links are in the description. I'm easily found and I'm available. I have a testimony and a path of overcoming. I crawled out of a horrible, horrible alcohol addiction. Okay. I was truly diseased, not just alcoholism, but my diet, my relationships, every bit about me was unhealthy. Now, I don't claim to be a perfect specimen of health now, but I paid close attention to what worked for me. When I made a breakthrough, when I found an aha moment, I paid attention and really reflected what was the strategy there? What worked? What can I help others with? Okay, so Jim, if you're interested, brother, I'm interested in trying to help people find more faith, more joy, more health, more
I want to.
freedom.
I want to be famous.
Why?
I want to be a famous person.
Oh, I can help you with that.
No, you can't.
Then I can't.
Why
You've
do you
already
think Jack can't
tried.
help you with that?
Well, if you call Jack famous, then I want to be um
Oh, I
very
mean,
much more famous.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
no.
my channel's bigger than your channel by subscriber count, and I don't want to be famous, so he could definitely help you.
Well, I
No,
I I
Jim.
I knew
Jim.
I knew two channels already,
Jim.
and I don't care who subscribes to my channel. I want to be famous in something else. And
Okay.
it has
Well,
nothing to do
Jim.
with online.
Jim, this is what I want you to see. Don't look at now. Look in your mind and your heart at potential. Okay. You want to be famous? My goal is to find a way, should God allow, right? Let's end wars. Let's share this live without fear worldwide. I'm a man who is thinking worldwide, Jim. When I say I can help you, what I'm suggesting is let's work together. Let's become famous worldwide by doing something great, not just entertaining people, not just wasting people's money or time. Let's become famous by accomplishing something that's never been accomplished before, Jim. You willing to try?
Sure.
Doesn't sound very convincing, but if you can convince yourself that those words are true, brother, there's a future that we have not. Tell you what, Jim, I'm not bullshitting. I'm going to drop my info in the back. I'm going to bring up Mitch because apparently he's here to save Jim. Okay. So
Wonderful.
we've got someone in the back who's here to save you, Jim.
I'd love to see him try.
Okay. Mitch, welcome. How you doing?
What's up, homie?
Hey, what up?
What's
Please.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, please, Mitch. I was inviting you, please.
All right, all right. Well, I mean, I got a couple things with you, Jack. I also would like your help to become famous. I'm also drinking so I could better connect with you because that seems to be. So maybe you can help me get sober and famous and all of that. But in the meantime, I'm going to help Jim just so it doesn't feel like two people are ganging up on him. I wanted to sort of be supportive. Instead of having Hank chime in and condescend him while you're trying to help him, it just didn't seem like a healthy pattern. So I came up here to kind of balance it out in hopes that it'll save Jim. I can't make any promises, but
Okay, I get it. Hey, so Mitch doesn't have a lot of faith in me, but let me offer back before I swing back to what Jim was saying, please. Mitch, you don't have to drink to get my attention. You don't have to make yourself suffer worse than you are. All you got to do is reach out to me. I'm very easily reached and very easily available. I try to model myself after Jesus in the likeness of God. So I spent a lot of time thinking about what that could mean. I assume this is a message for mankind. If I'm right, if God is using me as a messenger, well, then one of the messages clearly is brothers and sisters, turn to God, right? Have a conversation with God. Trust in God. Your life becomes better.
Amen.
Jim, in the back, in the private chat, I put my phone number and my email. No expectation, no worry, or no cost, right? Nothing other than if you're interested, let's have a talk, all right? So it doesn't
Hey,
have to be public. And
Jeremy's headed this way within the next week or so.
Peter, I didn't. No, I didn't know that.
He's gonna stay with me for a while.
He seems like a good dude too, but I think both of you can use something. You can use something, and I don't want to presume what you need, right? It's on you and the Holy Spirit to determine what you need. But if I can be of support to you, Jim, I would appreciate the opportunity to try. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
But genuinely, playing around with this idea of being famous, in my past, I never wanted that. I was always the type that I wanted to be out of sight, out of mind. I wanted to be as far away from people as I could manage to be away from people, because people drove me nuts. It's because I didn't understand me. Guys, God is doing something incredible with all of us at this time here on earth. The revelations, I'm not an expert, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a pastor, I'm just a believer, right? I believe the prophecies are being fulfilled right now through us. We are the new ideas here to bring the new kingdom
My
into
only
being. Please, Jim.
my only gripe with you is when you told me that that your prayers were never answered. Do you generally think that when you pray they don't get answered?
Maybe I should have qualified. They've not been answered yet. Okay. Because thank you. And if I'm remembering what you might be referring to, I probably did speak poorly, especially in the example I hope to be. But my testimony is what it is, man. My life fell completely apart. Just as an ordinary man, right? Speaking humbly, dude, everything collapsed around me. I lost everything I believed that mattered was no longer in my life. I lost my career, my purpose with the union, time with my son. I lost everything, man.
Yeah.
I thought I was done. And then I discovered a new direction. I found something new in this infinite world of possibilities. I found something that interested me, and I started looking at what interested me, and I started learning more and more and more things. And then I started putting pieces together, and I was like, holy shit, why are we having wars? There's no reason for wars anymore. We don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5'8", for those who are curious. I'm not tall. Someone asked. But my guess, I don't want to be rude, Jim. I don't want to be rude by offering what's not wanted. Okay. But I've got ideas. You open to ideas yet?
Shoot.
You seem like a man who's lost sight of the future. Have you been dwelling in the past, perhaps?
Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
It's keeping me in the past.
You see that? And since you're not happy in the past, that means you're trapping yourself where you're not happy. And where that means is here in your present day, you're finding unhappiness. What else could you be finding?
So, people are saying that I'm low T. And yes, I am low T right now, but prior to today, I was of high T.
No, I remember you having more energy, higher energy. And by the sounds of it, you keep yourself fit. By the looks of it, you keep yourself fit. Is that accurate, Jim?
Let's find out.
You do all right. You do okay. Actually, you look great. For 30 something, you said? You're doing good, buddy. All right. Um, so you're putting in the work. How do you feel about your results? Besides what others think, how do you feel? That's the key, my brother. Do you feel healthy?
Not these days, no.
Okay. I would bet money it's in your mind, right? The problem and solution. It's between your mind and your heart. You've found a disconnection between the two. A lot of this stuff, it could be, I don't know you well enough, Jim. This could be shit from when you were a kid. It could be just seasonal, temporary stuff you're dealing with, right? I don't know you, but I know I can probably help you figure it out if you want. Because the reality is, once you change your mind, Jim, where'd you go?
I'm here.
All right. Once you change your mind, right, you rewire using the benefits of neuroplasticity, you reprogram your mind, everything changes, dude. Everything changes with a change of mind. I've been studying minds. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about something else and not put me the center of attention, we could move on.
Thank you, Jim. That was very respectful, and I'm sorry for not catching that myself. I appreciate that. Celebrating in the nature of God's love. That's what the stream is about today.
Yes. So I can answer Ruby's prompt. What are the things I love? So one of the
Please.
yeah. So one of the things I love is sacred geometry. I like looking at pretty pictures. I also love learning new tools and techniques and teaching other people. Um, I also love training myself. Those are three things I love very much.
What was the last one? Please.
Training myself. Training myself. So think smarter, work harder, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. A path of development, continuing to grow, developing yourself. That's what I got.
Yep.
Training yourself. The things of life. It took me a while to figure out things that I loved doing, loved seeing, loved sharing. It took me a while to find those things because it turned out I was a lot like my mother and my stepfather. Apparently, in our family, we had a habit of looking for problems. Anyone else do that? Just looking for problems, right? I actually heard an explanation. Go ahead, Mitch, if you were jumping in.
Well, I just have to confess, yeah, I've been guilty of that.
We all are. But I heard a beautiful explanation the other day. Trying to remember who it was so I can give credit, but uh, if I can do it justice anyway. There was observations on the patterns of the mind, and it makes sense that our mind is not it's to protect us. Our mind is always looking for dangers, right? It's not looking for opportunities, it's looking for dangers, things that we can do to protect ourselves, to avoid pain, to avoid suffering. But that's the ways of the flesh. Okay. And Jim, this is kind of in line with where you were at earlier. You kind of quoted the writings of Paul. The flesh will we will see ourselves do and say things we did not want to do or say, if we're not in line with what's true. That's what I know for sure. We've got to become humbled to the truth. Otherwise, our mind is constantly in these patterns of contradiction and argument, conflicts. I remember having day after day where I suffered. I couldn't go to sleep unless I passed out drinking, right? I was literally driving myself nuts and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who could help me. I tried going to a couple of counselors, but these counselors, they didn't know what they were doing, to be honest. And I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know how to help them help me either. Anyway, I've been going on and on. Please, what do you think?
Apparently people don't appreciate me much on here, so I'm gonna leave.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Jim.
I mean, they hate me too. It's not a big deal. They deal with
Hey,
me.
thanks for having me, Jack.
Jim, please, if think about what I offered at the least, and know that I do care and I'd love to be of support if I can. And it'll be private too. No reason for me to talk about what we talk about. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Jim. Um, Interesting. He seemed melancholy. That might be an accurate description. Melancholy, real kind of down. And all of us go through periods like that. So Jim, I do appreciate you swinging through if you happen to still hear. And I do hope you feel better too.
So Mitchell, do you want one-on-one time with Jack? I'll go backstage for you.
No, I'm good, man. I don't have anything specific. I'm just hanging out.
Oh, okay.
Hey, no, I appreciate you guys. We've each, all of us, I can't speak between the two of you, but I know I've had misunderstandings and feelers came up with both Mitch and Hank with me. So I do appreciate you guys. And Ryan Johnson, thank you. Thank you for your faith and your encouragement and your support. I'm so grateful you're here so often. Ryan Johnson, 559, thank you, man. Thank you. Holy cow. Celebrating in the nature of God's love. If the word God bothers you, in the long run, figure it out. But for this purpose, if the word God troubles you, celebrate in the nature of love. Okay? What is the nature of love actually like? Have you ever considered that? Either of you? What would you offer? How would you describe the nature of love? Hank?
Nature love is nature of God, and the nature of God is the nature of the world. except for all the bad stuff, of course.
I think true love is unconditional.
That unconditional love. It's not something I really thought about much, but unconditional love is worthy of consideration, because what would that mean? Love without expectations, love without conditions, love without requirements, even. I mean, and that seems illogical. How can you love someone that doesn't love you? Well, you do it. I mean, that's really the only thing.
And also, you know, kind of going back to, I forgot how you characterized it, but, you know, we lose emotions with each other, control of our emotions when dealing with each other sometimes. And I don't think that would happen if you didn't care. So, you know, it's kind of a compliment, you know. I don't know if that came out right, but there's something there. I wish I could say it better. I'm working it out in my head. I think Jack froze on us.
You were in luck. I'm going to give you the floor, and you get to say whatever you want.
Well, we'll just hang out and wait for Jack to return. I'm sure he'll be right back. But I don't have any specific message to share. I just came up for conversation. Where's that dopamine hit? You gotta support local dopamine dealers. I mean, that shit's not free or easy.
Hey, Mitch, thank you for keeping things going. I
Well,
appreciate you. I missed what happened. Had to reset anyway. Mitch took over the show. Thank you for doing so. Did I interrupt you?
no, not at all. I was just trying to explain. I don't have any real specific message. I just want to have a conversation. So
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
glad you're back.
Thank you, Mitch. And thank you for keeping this going with us. There's a couple of things that came up in service today that stood out to me. The ideas, I know you've got some resistance to some of the religious terms and ideas. Is that right, Mitch? I don't want to assume or misremember, but
I don't have like a real. I'm definitely no biblical scholar or anything. I have a very limited interpretation of the terms and whatnot. But I kind of get offended when I feel like the terms are misused, because I do think they do have meaning. And if we don't muddy the waters, it paints a really beautiful picture. So I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the word God and things to that nature. I feel like it gets perverted and misused so easily, and that blows my mind. But I got to work on not getting offended at that, because people are just trying to share their perspective. It's all we got.
that's a yes, Mitch, to all of that. Okay. I have a lot of issues with a lot of the indoctrination and the traditions. I'm very critical of many of the religious things and the political things and the economic things. I kind of kind of walk my own way in some ways. Um, wait a minute. Holy cows. Andy, Jack with a Hogan mustache and hair in pigtails. Why is God withholding that from us? Wow. Yeah, that's Whoops, I lost Mitch, man. Hey, you're welcome to return if you want. Let me flow with a couple of ideas, and I think I'm going to start wrapping up. Oh, there he is. From church today, there was a couple of things that stood out. The sermon, as I mentioned, was about the return Jesus after the resurrection and some of the messages he offered, and it was reinforcement there on the beach. You know, I guess I wrote it down in James 21. I guess he asks Peter several times, "Do you love me?" Maybe I should pull it up, but of course Peter responds, "Yes, I love you," and each time it's tend to the flock, feed the sheep, right? Protect the flock. It's fill in for me, walk this way, be the way that I showed. And so anyway, the idea is we're not all going to be shepherds. This was part of the sermon I received today. We're not all going to play the role of shepherds, but we are all here to serve one another. And we can only serve that which is before us, an opportunity to serve. But stewardship, we're here to be stewards of this world, right? Jesus, in the idea, Jesus is above the angels. Then you got the idea of Lucifer and Satan as above the demons. So God is above it all. And so Jesus was given rulership over this world to be in the likeness of you and me so that we can rule in this world, right? We've been given a stewardship. What is a stewardship? A guardianship, right? We're guardians and stewards of ourselves, of the land, of each other. And so what is a guardianship? To protect, a stewardship. You love what belongs to another. You steward it. You love it even though it's not entirely your own. So we're here to be stewards of ourselves, of one another, to love what belongs to God, because all this belongs to God. And then the other part of stewardship, truly, in following the way of Jesus, Yeshua, in addition to stewardship, you are a leadership, right? But even in a position of leadership, this was something that stood out. I never really considered. And I've spent a lot of time thinking and looking at leadership. What does it mean? Along with authority, what does that mean? But leadership, you have authority and you are under authority. Even a CEO of a publicly traded company, they are under the authority of the shareholders. You know, an entrepreneur, a business owner, they are still under the authority of, their consumers, the people that they serve. So leadership, you have an authority and you are under authority. And I figured that makes sense to me. I am under the authority of God and I lead me. And I invite others. If you're willing, I don't want to lead you. I want you to lead yourself. And I want us to help each other lead ourselves, right? I'm getting more connected here in Baltimore. I've got not just in Baltimore, but online too, guys. I've got great ideas and hopes coming out. Before I head down that, Mitch, I've said a lot. You're welcome. Anything you want to jump in with, please do.
Yeah, well, something fundamental to my beliefs on the topic is, it's even in my family crest from almost 1,000 years ago, but it's leadership by service, I think is how it's translated, serviendo guberno. But I think, you touched on it earlier in the stream. I forgot how you worded it exactly, but we're here to serve each other. And so when you're effective with that, your community kind of determines you as a leader. And
We do.
Hey, what's up, AVG?
Good to see ya.
Good
How's
to
it
see
going?
you. Feeling-
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
please.
I came up, obviously, there was something I wanted to talk about. Leadership, I think, is especially an important concept, particularly in Christianity, right? There's a set biblical order to things. And I think it should reign true in terms of things like relationships and society. So I would like to ask you both, where do you think female leadership comes into play in terms of society and relationships?
That is a great question. I have my opinion. I used to have a lot of, I lacked trust and respect of women when they were placed into position of authority. I had mommy issues. Took me a while to figure that
Me
out.
too. Join the club.
Right?
Yeah.
As an adult and on this path, my path of transformation, I have been so mind blown, right, by the caliber and quality and leadership I have seen and experienced from some of the women who are alive today, right? So I believe there is a place for all of us. Now, ideally, in relationships, there is a difference, right? There's a difference between the masculine and the feminine for sure. But I believe we're created to where a man is strong, a woman might be weak, but where a man is weak, a woman is strong, right? We're here to complement one another and learn from one another and build each other into greater leaders. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. I think, yeah, I'm positive for them. Females in leadership.
Yeah, I think you made an important clarifying answer there. The thing is that we both have different roles in society, right? So obviously the role of man is to protect and provide, and like obviously there's exceptions to everything I'm about to say, but generally the role of women is to be we're supposed to be the nurturers and the growers and the matrons and supporters of other women in the community, right? So that's why you see things in the Orthodox faith. I reference Orthodoxy a lot because obviously, for those of you who don't know, I'm Orthodox, right? We do not have positions of leadership in the church, aside from being the head of the choir. That's the highest I've seen in the presbytera, which is obviously the priest's wife. But I think we've lost track of these kind of roles in society. Fourth wave feminism has seemingly taught the populace as a whole, not just women, that for some reason condemning, and these are the types of like negative language that they use, condemning the woman to a traditional role where she's in a support mechanism to her husband is some kind of slavery or something that's to be condemned. It's really disgusting. I think it's a kind of proponent of the liberal agenda, which is to separate the nuclear family and to encourage the separation of children from their mothers.
There can be some of that, but the flip side is I have seen so many absolutely disgusting, toxic, unhealthy relationships where the man, because of his size and strength, is in control, right? The illusion of control, creating safety by creating all these enemies outside of the house, right? But it's a bunch of bullshit. Men and women, we've all been confused, right? It's interesting you bring up the orthodoxy, though, too, because I didn't grow up with church. It wasn't a big part of my thing, so I didn't have to unlearn or relearn a lot of things. But in my recent experiences returning to churches, yeah, there's a place for women in ministry.
Really?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Can I know why you think that, Jack?
Because they carry the same messages in a different vocabulary. And it's not just the same it is the same messages. It's just a different approach and a different perspective, but it's still the same. The woman who trained me as a life coach, I won't name her names for reasons, but it was a woman who trained me. And her team, prior to her moving into the field of self-development, she was actually a pastor. She's got
In
an
what
interesting story herself.
in what church, Jack? Do you know?
I can't recall. If you want to reach out, I'll share the
Yeah,
info.
no, I was
and
just curious generally,
details.
like, was it a Protestant church, do you think? Like, or was it Catholic or
Clearly not Catholic. I don't know the denomination. It was in Oregon. That's the only thing I remember.
okay.
So,
I think it's probably a Protestant church, but yeah.
probably, I would assume so. I would assume it's a Protestant church. But her messages of life coaching. I mean, this is where I found myself. To me, there are two leaders I found. Tony Robbins, he's like best known life coach and self-development, success and all this, but he's the masculine approach. He's all about goals and achievement, using the will and determination to readjust your spirit and your power. The other side of the masculine is the feminine approach. And I honestly, this is more in tune, this resonated more with me. Rather than goals and achievement, we work on dreams and fulfillment, right? Because that's the spirit of love, dreams and fulfillment.
But is it possible, Jack? Now, just just hear me out. Is it possible because it is very rare, right, for a woman to find ourselves in a position of leadership where we can kind of educate men, right? Because obviously, I think men generally know best how to educate men, and women generally
Mhm.
best know how to educate women. Is it possible your pathway might have been somewhat misled by just simply an exceptional woman, or
No, I actually believe my path has been divinely revealed.
interesting?
There is there have been so many patterns and connections. It's perfect. Okay.
You're a
Now,
you're a Christian though, right? Like you're a patriarchist, like in terms of you being a Christian. Sorry, I feel like this is more like an interview, but I'm
no,
doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
I've my testimony, I've become a man of faith, incredible faith, right?
Mhm.
My testimony is different. It contradicts a lot of the beliefs from the churches, but it's my life. It's my honest, true life testimony, right? Um,
Right.
I had an awakening to my conscience after a life of alcoholism. I got detox. I was still suicidal, dark thoughts, still in lost and confusion, but I was sober. Um, then I experienced a powerful phenomenon in an instant, right? I had an awakening to my consciousness, or I had a spiritual awakening, or I received a taste of the Holy Spirit, right? Something happened within me and I had instantaneously transformed. And I didn't know the words, I didn't know what was going on. I said, what the fuck is this? Right? All of
Right.
a sudden, I went from sad to filled with love. Well, my own past, I'd rejected Christianity because I judged God and religion because of the people. That's a mistake. Don't judge God because of the people. That's something I learned. Um, I did not want to credit God with what I had experienced. I went to science, psychology, philosophy. Anyways, everything I learned brought me back to Jesus. So I became a follower of Jesus. Am I a Christian? I hope to help. I hope to help improve what it means to be a Christian.
Okay. So, but you believe in Jesus, right? Like you think that Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior, right? Do you belong to a church, a parish, a cathedral, or anything like that? Or
Um, the thing with Jesus, this is where I'm a little different than a lot of Christians. Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Whether or not Jesus existed, I have faith in God. Okay. I'm convinced that there's enough evidence and scholarly study and doctrine that says, yeah, Jesus lived and died and maybe was resurrected again as well, right? My faith doesn't hang on him, but what I do believe, I heard it reinforced the question you asked. I found a new church here in Baltimore. It's called Hopeville. I don't know the denomination, but I do know they just ordained a woman pastor
It's
a week or two
non-denominational.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's non-denom, yeah.
All right. It hits with me. I tell you what, I recently started going and I'm regularly moved to tears from the congregation and the praise and the spirit and the energy and the love and the sermons. It's been beautiful there.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm happy if anybody, finds God and, hopefully Christ and appreciates the beauty of what Jesus did for us, right, which is dying for our sins. I think that's a beautiful thing, and I have definitive proof that he exists. I like you, and maybe in a different way than you, I've been touched by God and Jesus, and I really feel very fortunate for that. But I think there is a kind of divide within the Christian community between the non-denominational and the more, I guess we would call ourselves Puritans on the Orthodox and
Okay.
Catholic side of things, right? Where there is a specific order to things, and I need not try and persuade anybody. I mean, if we're talking about the institution of marriage, for instance, we can see that the Orthodox community has a significantly lower rate of divorce. In fact, I think it's about 9% compared to Catholics, which is about 21, and then general secular society, which is past the range of 56, right? So uh, we really don't need to go out there and sell the religion. I mean, the facts speak for themselves. And if there's anything, if you would ask me, AVG, what's the most important thing in society right now, and I would say it's the family, and we've lost such sight over how important family is, not just for the general, specific proximate aspect of things, right? You have a son and a daughter and a wife or a husband, right? And you're together and you're experiencing memories and things together, but also as a society, because the birth rate crisis is real. We frequently find people separated. Online is sometimes the only outlet people have for socialization, which is just incredibly depressing. Uh, if you ask me, not like you guys aren't great, but if this is your only social interaction, it can be quite problematic in terms of the human psyche. So those would be my sentiments with respect to Christian separation.
There has been a lot of separation, but isn't the message of Jesus about unity?
Absolutely. To what extent? That remains to be debated. I think absolutely we should try and unify under Christ, right? But
Yeah.
there are certain grounds which might prevent unification. For instance, things like blasphemy or worshiping false gods or perverting the institution of marriage.
Hmm. Yeah, see, and as long as
Or
those
leadership.
things, what's that? Or what?
Or leadership, perverting the idea of what church leadership should be, right? Traditionally, under Orthodox doctrine, it should be done by a man, right? The priest. And allowing a woman to have that role is in direct contradiction to Paul's writings, right?
Well, and there's been a lot of, I know I have found a lot of interesting discussions on Paul's writings, the formation of the texts, right, or the inclusion in the Bible, which books were chosen, because really it's in the religion. If the devil is there, right, and it's something that we need to be aware of, where's the first place it's going to go? It's going to go to the teachings. It's going to corrupt the truth, right? And so the churches throughout history, there's been corruption with the Catholic Church and the rulers and the dominating forces, and so throughout time, well, throughout time, people knew what they knew, and they didn't know what they didn't know. But we are living at such an incredible time, this age of information, because of the communication and all of the discoveries, the translations, all this stuff is being put together. We got to accept that maybe we shouldn't be fighting over what was written 2,000 years ago. And maybe we should be paying attention to each other today and what we can do for each other tomorrow. Right?
I agree, Jack. So let's just deviate from Paul for a bit, right?
Please. Yeah.
Maybe let's focus on the original creation story, right? Do you accept the creation story as truth?
Which part?
The creation
That
of
God,
man and woman?
well, that God created.
Yeah.
Well, even that. Are you familiar with Paul Wallace by chance on
No.
YouTube?
No.
He's an interesting character, former theologian, pastor, whatever. He presents some interesting translations of the Old Testament and the Elohim, presenting that potentially they are extraterrestrial, where it's referring to extraterrestrial beings who had fallen to the world and taught mankind the different informations.
Okay.
So I took us from your question completely, didn't I? Started
Yeah,
talking about Paul Wallace. Sorry.
I've heard that theory before, by the way. I've heard the theory that God is an extraterrestrial. Like this is not news to me. I've read, the teachings of David Icke. I've read the theories with respect to the Anunnaki, reptilians, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm relatively well versed in that. But what I would ask is, like, assuming that story is true in one way, shape, or form, right? Even if it's not true in the way that we understand it, i.e., the Garden of Eden and man, woman, both human. Is it still true that the woman was created as like sort of like a helpmate or a support mechanism to the man?
That I don't know. My gut says that may be a written in interpretation, right?
Really?
I feel like that alone is a perversion of reality. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Because true life comes from the feminine. It's through the feminine body, the feminine being, that life is brought into being.
Mother Nature,
Yeah.
We're bordering on Wiccanism here. So like
Well,
Well,
okay.
I feel like the church has.
To be fair, what weight do we give the creation of life, right? The life giver, right? Does the man have any role in that? And if so, is the man's role to humanity discounted because he cannot give birth, right? Like, where are we exactly putting these two societal roles on the hierarchy of life?
Real
I don't.
quick, can I say something real quick? Just because
Please.
I feel like in every like hypothetical that you present or whatever the right words are, is you're putting these in like competitive positions, like men versus women, and I just don't think that, you know, I think it's a false dichotomy to think that, you know, either men or women should lead, and you know it takes a complement of both because those energies balance each other out. They're not competitive. It's not that one's better than the other. They're different, and them two coming together is what creates the amazing magic or whatever.
So equal then in terms of life, right? So how about in terms of, like, I don't like to put us in this negative mindset, but I like to think about things as if they were at their basic nature, right? We're talking about like core primal humanity, right? And you need to protect someone. Somebody needs to stay behind, right? Somebody needs to take the support role in order to save the human race. And like, when I think about apocalyptic war bands and all kinds of situations where we might be forced to defend humankind, I don't think that we're putting the women and children first. Like, are we? Are we doing that? Or in that circumstance, is it acceptable to put a woman in a support role, despite what you might think that she has in terms of value to society?
Go ahead, Mitch.
If I may, yeah, I just, again, I think it's back to that false dichotomy. I think we're supposed to support each other. You know, women are supportive in their own way, and men are supportive in their own way. But if I had to choose, like from this false dichotomy, I would say, if anything, maybe the women are meant to be leaders, and men are meant to serve their purpose.
It's possible. And I mean, we do live in a world of inversion. This realm is completely backwards. So why not? I mean, I thought about the example of Jesus quite a bit. And when I started getting into the idea of divine energies, divine archetypes, you know, masculine, feminine, what I believe is embodied with Jesus in that story, he's the epitome of strength as a man, right? He takes that beating, he takes the load, he doesn't bitch, he doesn't complain, he doesn't blame, he just moves. But his compassion, his wisdom, his grace, those define the epitome of divine feminine, right? His
Mm-hmm.
acceptance and wisdom. So I believe Jesus was the perfect masculine body, divine feminine energy. If more men were like that, can you imagine how amazing this fucking world would be?
That makes so much sense. See, I don't think that like a woman would complete me. I think when I balance the divine feminine and the divine masculine within myself, then I'm ready to be complementary to a woman who has done the same. So I think that's a beautiful message, Jack. I agree completely.
It's so interesting that you view that element, that sacrificial lamb element, as feminine, because like when I examine that, I think it's an example of the divine, right? I think that Jesus is exhibiting, he's above humanity at that point. He's a sacrifice, right, for the goal of sinlessness with God's creation, and to me that doesn't scream femininity. It doesn't scream aprons and muffins and Barbie dolls. It screams we are saving the human race, and like the complete lack of selfishness, and truthfully, like, I don't think that is a component of femininity. I think a lot of women, especially ones in modernity of the fourth wave feminism nature, are actually quite selfish.
I think women very much sacrifice their bodies to, make babies. And, that's a very traumatic experience. I couldn't imagine putting my body through that. It's very tough. It takes a tough person to get through that.
But we're made for that, though. Like.
Well, this is the thing about the divine feminine, the power of acceptance. Okay. That's a power that men can develop, right? We always want to fight. We always want to attack or defend. But often, as Jesus showed, there's an absolute power in acceptance, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what
extent, yeah.
women show. For me, that is the divine feminine acceptance, and it's just such a.
It is to me too, Jack, because women aren't really meant to fight men. So to me, that's the solution. If you love your enemy, you take their power away. It seems very divinely feminine to me. I don't know why, but
Well,
Go ahead.
it just is like if we were like capable, right? If we are capable of leading, right? Shouldn't we also be able to provide offensive tactics and do so well? Like, shouldn't we be able to fight in some capacity?
I don't think so. I think that's where men would be considered in more of a supportive role to the women's leadership role.
Okay, well then provide some societies wherein a matriarchal leader has successfully, led a mainly patriarchal army to success.
So I can kind of, it's not exactly what you're saying, but like in ancient Irish civilization, what's commonly referred to today as Brehon law. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's kind of like a little niche. But they had their own little legal society or whatever, where they said the laws couldn't be written down, but they could be written about. And in that society, women, had just as much rights as the men, where I don't know exactly when we started codifying that in our law in today's society, but it's relatively recently. And so in that society also, the kings weren't allowed to marry the women because they were married to the land. They were in service to their community. So they were kings, but they were in a leadership role as commonly thought of today. It's more of leadership by service.
That's beautiful.
Okay, but it is true, right? That like most of the leadership, primarily I'm thinking in monarchical England, was most successfully led with a king and his army, correct?
Well, go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, I think that's a horrible example because I don't know. I wouldn't use that example to relate to what I was referencing.
If I may, there's a couple things I remember you saying. I don't remember the vocabulary, the terms you used, but post-apocalyptic, perhaps, right? We're also kind of looking for the past for confirmation of what could be possible in the future. That's what the society has taught us. That's what the conditioning has taught us, is to stay focused on the past and not think things through. But the reality is, kind of like this comment, right now and for a long time, the world has lived under a patriarchal system, right? It has been men leading men off to war to murder men, women, and children, right?
And look where it got us, Jack.
And yeah, it's gotten us to the Epstein class. And let's face it, and not to mention, I know you're restreaming. I don't know the exact limits on what is or isn't appropriate.
Oh no, it's fine. You're good. You're good.
Well, this is common news. I just learned, I've not investigated myself, but in social media, I've witnessed reports on some sort of rape academy, online forum where men are comparing notes, how to take advantage of family members, strangers, This is the society we've created, and men are creating this crap. I don't even want to say it again, but it breaks my heart.
No,
And I
it's
learned it.
fine. That's obviously horrible, Jack. I will need to clip that, but that's fine. I'll make a note of it. It's okay. Yeah, there's of course there's going to be bad actors of many sectors of society. I think one of the primary issues that gets confused is force, right? And force doctrine. The reality is that men are more capable of more extreme force. Now, whether or not that means that we should, lock all men up and track you guys like, like criminals, is another issue. I personally don't advocate for that. I think there are bad actors of both genders, right? There are women that will take a man's entire living in the courts, right, through family courts, and they won't feel a lick of guilt about it. So I do think there are bad actors, but do I think that that is a trademark of patriarchal leadership, that women are raped? Absolutely not. There's definitely people that will do that in all societies, even Christian ones. We know this, right? But that doesn't mean that most men are inclined to do that. And it's damaging when we set up a society with that expectation, because we see things like we saw recently with that political commentator Tilly. I think her last name is something like Herefordshire or something like that. She made an accusation against Andrew Wilson, saying that he was a rapist, right? Absent any proof or even having met the man, and people just accept those allegations. So I think there does need to be a middle ground. People need to be able to speak the truth, of course, in society. But at the same time, if we cry wolf too many times, right, without significant ability to do so, it actually damages the justice system.
I won't deny that, but there's people like the Tate brothers. The things they teach young men publicly in this day and age promotes things like an online rape academy. 64 million hits in 1 month is what was recorded and reported. 64 million.
Right. So have they been convicted? Because like my understanding right now is that it's in the Romanian courts and there's been some kind of an appeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all wrapped up in the system. I mean, they're going to use the system. This is the criminal mindset. This is what our modern day society has created. A bunch of men who think they can get away, they can do what they want until they're caught, right? That is sick. And AVG mentioned previously, there's a selfishness, there's a quality of selfishness. It's not limited by one gender, that's for sure.
Right.
It's a result of this society we were born into. It really is inverted.
But does that mean that all male leadership is bad, right? Like,
No,
does that mean that we should put... Okay.
No. I just think we need to be honest. Let good leaders rise, whether they're male or female or whatever, right? If someone has the talent, has the ability, the competency, and the willingness, hell, give them support. Let them see what they can do. That's my mind, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Just not in the church, right? Like...
No, I even say in the church. Remember,
church.
I'm all about equality.
Oh Lord. I just think, Jack, there's some limits we shouldn't change. But it's fine. You're welcome to disagree. Obviously, I think it's awful that there's stuff like that going on, and I've said this many times. I'll say it again. If Trump or the Tates are proven guilty of what they are accused of, absolutely put them to jail and let them never see a moment of sunlight for the rest of their lives, right? I think that's despicable behavior if you've taken advantage of someone who is less capable than you of defending themselves. But do I think that changes my position on leadership? No, just because men are more capable of exacting force doesn't mean that we should put them in less positions of leadership. In fact, I think that it illustrates we should put them in more because while we might have legally granted rights, right? We can't enforce those rights absent force. Oh, you've got so many haters, Jack. You
Fascinating. But I bring up a lot of the haters' comments because it's public record then, right? World Radio 332 is making the claim confidently that he sees Jack as a weak man. Don't know him personally, but comes off to me as a weak person. Let
He's
me
entitled
assure
to his
you, World Radio 332 and others, a lesson I've learned, things are not always as they appear. Things are not always as they seem. You don't want to test me, but you can. I'm used to it.
I mean, I think my chat. Some of my chat is new to you, Jack. So I mean,
Could be.
So,
they've asked me. They're like, "Are these my guys?" I've hung out on Jack's before. I value him as a contributor in terms of content. I think he puts out some good ideas, and I like to contend with him on them, even though we don't usually agree on certain points. I think it's fun to debate on it. So.
yeah, I really appreciate the conversation, and I want to stretch it out. I might be getting greedy, but I want to stretch it out just a little more and present this idea to you. AVG is like, I'll just concede, for the sake of argument, that men should be leaders, and I just want to acknowledge that this is where it has got us. So, I mean, do you think that maybe how do I describe it? It's like the behaviors of men and women are due to poor leadership. And so I didn't explain that very well, but what would your solution be, considering that men should be the leaders of our society and they're failing at it?
So, how can you establish how they're failing at it?
Yeah, because I feel like basically if the men are the leaders, then all the problems in society can be attributed to poor leadership. Even if it's women doing OnlyFans and whatever else is wrong with our society or whatever. I think that's all attributed to poor leadership, if that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, can I get you to think critically about something, Mitch?
Sure, please.
Yeah, is that due to the fact that men primarily have held leadership roles, or is it due to the fact that they have done so poorly? Like, is it a statistical problem? Is it a per capita issue rather than an actual causal link between male leadership and despair?
I think I don't think it's or, I think it's and. Does that make sense?
Explain.
So I think that I don't know. I just think that we live in a patriarchal society. That's kind of just the way it is understood. And so I think that it's failing because men aren't providing proper leadership, for their families, for their children, for the women that they're supposed to be leading, if that's the way it's supposed to be. And so I think it's both. I think it's, a failure as we continue to grow,
Here,
go
can I
ahead.
jump in?
Yeah, help me out. Bail me out here, Jack, because I'm not thinking critically, apparently.
Oh, no, you're doing great. These ideas, you got to kind of think outside of the box in order to see the problems accurately, right? And if you look at history, it has been man-led for a long time, right? How is the society failing today? We have criminal systems that protect criminals. We've got criminals enabling criminals legally. It has got to stop. We have the Epstein evidence, thousands and thousands of pages. How many arrests have been made?
Primarily, they've been done in the United Kingdom, not in the United States.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's an accurate, I'd forgotten. There have been some arrests made, but not
Yes.
from the United States, right? So we have a lack of accountability. We've got clear problems, right? We've got a play to pay society. How is the patriarch failing? We've got economic and political systems that profit from trauma. I can prove it. But
I don't
the
need you to
science
prove it.
Yeah.
I don't need you to prove it. I completely accept that as truth. But I raise you one more. So
Please.
currently a majority of women, right, because of the way that we're hardwired, right? We look for providers, right? So we look at resources in an acutely different way than men do, just based on biological imperatives, right? If we change the script, so to speak, so that female leadership is the priority and male following is the status quo, so to speak, uh, what do you really think is going to change, considering that the problems which you have emphasized stem from the capitalistic nature of society, and we are moving towards a resources-based leadership to correct, right, the issues from that society?
Yeah. I think when we address the problems in the systems, the gender of who fills the positions or the individual, it won't matter who fills the positions if we fix the systems, right?
With
We've
what?
got legal secrets. This is what my whole path is. I'm all about truth.
Okay.
Set the truth free and the people become free. When the truth is known, there's nothing to argue about. There's nothing to fight about. There's very little to argue about or to fight about, when we know what is real.
Okay. So how do we guarantee truthfulness in society and in society citizens?
Well, the main thing is in these non-existent entities that we give so much power. The non-existent entities, they're beasts that have risen from the imaginations of mankind. We call them corporations, right? We call them governments,
Yeah.
right? They're fictional. They're demons. They are the beasts of rule. What I suggest is the beasts of rule, the demons of government. They've been protecting the demons of corporations. The demons of corporations keep you and me and everyone we love working hard to pay for everything so that the banking system can keep going. But the banking system, it's all an elaborate set of lies, right? And so the point is when the governments and the corporations are no longer paying people to lie to people, our world becomes safer for everyone.
Okay. So notwithstanding the fact that those systems are like basically built and sustained by men, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's just not focus on that for a second, because I don't think we're going to have a contention with that. I think you kind of accept that as well, right, Jack?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we get rid of capital, right? How do we encourage innovation absent capital?
Oh, that's where human ingenuity comes in. We start respecting humans and humans start respecting each other, and the creativity that people can generate. Holy shit. we're missing out on things. We really are, guys.
Okay. And do you have an example of where that's paid off before, where we've ditched the idea of capital and moved forward on a human to human based economy?
Yes, where was that? I heard of a recent example. A couple of recent examples came up because I've been looking for some. Where are these proven things? Well,
Yeah.
it's hard to prove a concept in a world that opposes the concept, right? Every attempt, every what we call socialism and communism of the past are not real socialism or communism. They were all corrupted by a fiat, by a banking industry. Back then, it wasn't necessarily fiat, it was still backed by some BS identification of value, right? Anyway, I took us
So in
way off
short,
from your question.
no. In short, it would be effectively a pet project, a pilot episode, if you will.
Well, what I'm suggesting is the logic is sound. Okay. I
Okay.
suggest that the logic is sound, that without covert operations, non-disclosure agreements, governments and corporations working for the military industrial complex instead of the safety and welfare of humanity, we can change it all. This is the thing. So what I'm suggesting is, well, I've been saying, for those who don't know me yet, and I understand there's some,
Well, that's the great thing, Jack. Yeah. We've got some newbies.
this is my goal. If there's any way to make this happen, I believe. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I am not a fan of him. His leadership, I think, is piss poor, and that's actually what I'd like to talk to him about. But I believe that Donald Trump might be a wild card. He might be wild enough to take the advice or the suggestions of some disabled veteran, some old guy who served the nation as a kid and then learned a bunch of things about history and politics and economics. Donald Trump claims to want to be a president of peace, and I want to help him. Because if we can get the ideas of peace, bring leadership into the governance instead of government, right? Instead of bosses, have leaders, like Mitch was talking about previously. Having leaders who serve, right? Returning to that practice in our society. Leaders who serve, right? Well, then we could go into Congress, talk to those 600 people, right? I've mentioned this before. Out of America, we got like 350 million of us, according to numbers I've heard, and roughly 1,000 in the executive branch and the legislative branch. Roughly 1,000 Americans are sending children off to war, funding the genocide in Israel, right? Sending them, making bonuses for the petroleum companies and bonuses for the weapons manufacturers and Palantirs, getting all of our information, and we're just being surveyed and programmed. And when are we going to do something about it, guys? Seriously, that's what I'm about.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the current rate of casualties is ideal or that it even is a product of a good system. But Jack, like what I can tell you is that we don't have demonstrable evidence that a society, either number one, led by women, or number two, that is at least a non-capitalistic society functions better than our current one. And you might think it's a sad reality, but that is something that is truthful, that the current way of things does have a proven track record, right?
Okay, if we're going to go to the track record, then we can't just look at the false positives, right? Or the
Okay.
the things that appear positive. We've got to be honest about the ugly too. Okay, let's not forget that these impoverished nations of Ethiopia and Sudan and all these others, they're capitalists too.
Okay, so you'd like to make a, I mean, that would be a false comparison, right? Because obviously they have a different amount of resources than America does, right? From the starting point.
But is capitalism good or bad?
Well, okay, so let's just say for a second that we take the society of communism and we import it right into Ethiopia, for instance. Do we have any kind of statistical proof that a society which was once dominated by capitalism, which is deemed second or third world, has been bettered by communism?
Kind of a sideways step from, I'm not sure, because is anyone proposing we take a capitalist nation and turn them to communism? I'm not. If it came across that way, it's not what I'm suggesting.
Okay, socialism then, or what would you call the society which you are advocating for then? Because perhaps there's been a disconnect here. I miscategorized it. Please, explain what you would categorize it as.
Well, I thought someone mentioned it earlier that it appears the logical progression is to a resource-based economy. We break away from the requirement of currency and we just deal with each other honestly over needs and availability regarding the resources we all need. Number one resource, though, that I want to focus on is intelligence, knowledge, education, right? Properly educated people would not sell their children off to militaries. They wouldn't do it. But we've got a society that it's normal to indoctrinate your children, have them recite some pledge of allegiance to a flag and a nation that they don't even understand what allegiance means. But we're going to have them memorize it and recite it and regurgitate it. Guys, we've been mind controlled, we've been programmed. It was worse before today.
Yeah,
I really like that point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It just like from sorry, I just did a bit of quick research there. So it seems kind of similar in that there's like an access to capital problem in terms of innovation, right? Like, did you read the results of the Venus project?
I've looked into the Venus project,
Okay.
but from the comments I've heard, and it's been outside, so I please recognize it's kind of hearsay, but from what I've witnessed and heard, they've had some management issues. They haven't really been, they haven't taken things, actually, part of my idea a long time ago when I learned of the Venus project, the idea of a resource-based economy. Now, keep in mind, for that to work, it's open source, right? It's open knowledge. There's no more secrecy. So when I learned of the resource-based economy ideas and the Venus Foundation, well, then I started thinking about the government. Why on earth has for so long the United States had a Department of Defense? Why don't we have like a future planning department? Right? Because if we have a future planning department that oversees the Department of Defense, that's now the Department of War, maybe we can have some sanity in this leadership and avoid the conflicts and avoid the perpetual funding of this military industrial complex that our parents were warned about, right?
Right. But that's why I was asking, because like the Venus project is the one kind of example of where the resource-based economy model has been tested, right? And it was not successful. I understand it was just like a research center in Venus, Florida, but
Yeah.
it tried to take the theory to reality, and from what I
Sure.
understand, it was a complete and total failure. And so I
Based
would deviate back to my question is like, how do we enable societal success absent access to capital, right?
Well, anything we choose to do, we can find a way to do.
Okay.
Anything
We're living on
choose
a prayer.
to do.
Oh, we're living
Well,
on a
no,
prayer.
actually, why don't you think the logic through on that? Because
Okay.
it's the truth. If we set our minds to do something, it's part of the amazing thing about humanity and being human. When people choose to do something, they find a way to get it done, usually. I know the successful people do. And if we want a successful world, which is what I'm suggesting we all do, we all want to live in a better place, in a world where we don't have to pay for everything, where women don't have to be afraid of their bodies being taken out of their control, right? Hey, we've been going on, and I realized, Denizen, I brought you up a while ago.
I be like, Denizen, have a go of it.
How are you, friend? You there?
Yes, sir.
Thoughts from you? Anything coming up?
Just the usual. I'm watching you try to scream logic into the void and getting the normal pushback that you get. I'm loaded up on ibuprofen right now. I have a pretty bad ear infection,
Oh,
but I couldn't resist the opportunity to talk about economics with my good friend.
I appreciate you joining, man. I really do. I actually, with AVG, these conversations I feel have been very polite. I've appreciated, even though it is a bit some pushback, but I get it. And Andy, this is a thought I've given a lot of, a question I've given quite a bit of thought to. What do you think Jesus would think of capitalism? At his time, it was a form of capitalism. It was a money-based system. And I think Jesus taught us that we're here to share. Capitalism relates to selfish. Sorry, go ahead.
Surrender unto Washington that which is Washington's.
Right? Yeah. Well, give to the Federal Reserve what is the Federal Reserve's.
Right.
Give to God that which is God, but one must know God in order to give to God what is for God. And
he'd probably be pretty offended that it says "In God We Trust" on the money, right underneath another temple.
Isn't that ironic?
Temple of banksterism.
So I think number one, I always defer to my priest when it comes to matters of how biblical reason should be interpreted in the face of modern society. But Jack raised an excellent point. Capitalism was prominent, right, when Jesus was around, and the way that I would assume it would be interpreted is this, just based on what my priest has told me, is that legality and religiosity are two separate concepts, and to confuse them with one another, to kind of opine that one would have jurisdiction over the other is kind of silly when it comes to law having jurisdiction over religiosity. The church is separate from the state in terms of how we approach religious issues. In fact, I'm a big proponent of marriage being between a man, a woman, and God, i.e., in the church, as opposed to a legal contract, because I think that muddies things and confuses the role of marriage in Christianity. So, in short, what would he think of it? Probably the same thing he thought when he was teaching his apostles.
Amen.
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't divinely interpret, but if I had to guess,
There's something you said about religiosity and the legality. Is that what you were pointing at?
Yeah, I don't think that the law has any place over religion. I don't think.
But do you see the similarity between the two, though, how they've evolved into mirrors of one another.
In what way, Jack?
I believe law, legality, and religion have overcomplicated life. It's a game of the devil. Divide and control and confuse, right? Money is the reward in many cases for people selling their souls and losing their joy.
Well, certainly one needs to be led by money. In a capitalist society, one needs money to survive.
I
Just a
thought
second.
we have,
Just a second. Let me finish. I mean, insofar as like money guides certain decisions, right? Like I need money to buy things. I need money to support my parents and so on and so forth, right? But is money the driving force in my life? Absolutely not. The driving force in my life is God. The driving force in my life is Christ, right? Money is just something that I have to acquire in order to live on earth. That doesn't affect my spiritual pursuit of Christ at all.
If it's your driving force, then it is.
well, and if you believe you need something, it becomes the excuse to be the driving force. I mean, I thought I needed a job because I thought I needed money. But I didn't need money or a job. What I needed is resources, shelter, community. I needed connection. I needed education. I didn't need money. That's a lie. It's what the billionaire class, it's what the banking class has taught the masses. You need money. No, you don't. I mean, you do if other people require you to have money, but that's on the other people. That's not on you. I mean,
Okay, so can you live off the grid? Like, can you truly live off the grid? Can you
no.
go to a okay? So yeah, you need money.
Well, at this moment, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
I am pressing back because really mankind, especially here in America, faith has been placed in the dollar, not God. And so people are disconnected from God. The dollar disconnects people from people, right? People focus on the dollar and they lose sight of who's actually providing this good, who's transporting this good, who's creating this good, who's providing this service. We lose sight and connection because we're all focused on the banker's product. It's a lie. It ain't worth what it's worth.
I hear all of this in Jesus's message too. I know a lot of people would say he was trying to imply that, you should follow the laws of the land that you're in. But I don't think so at all. That's not how I interpret it. I see it as him making a distinction between greed, capital, money, and what is truly divine. The coin bears Caesar's image, but mankind bears the image of God. And that's what is truly valuable in this world and to be worshipped and cherished and valued. And I think, given the context, because he was trying to be baited into committing a crime when they asked him if it was legal for Rome to tax the population. And rather than say something against Caesar, he dismissed the whole concept of currency altogether and said, well, that's Caesar's problem, not mine.
No. And this is what I believe. When I started actually looking at the story of Jesus and started kind of trying to put things together for myself, he really is. He's an activist. He's a radical. He was God sent for mankind. God sent the wisdom in that being, in that form for mankind. He was a radical and a revolutionary. He stood for God, for freedom, for love. And that meant he opposed the tax system, the government system, and the religious system too.
Yeah, the church.
So a couple things about this. Like, I don't think there's any biblical or historical evidence to support that Jesus would have been into a resource-based economy or communism or socialism. If there was, I clearly misread
Except for his
aspects
words.
of the Bible. The secondary component is what I would say is that we don't really truly know uh, what Jesus's goal was. In fact, even the highest ranking members of Orthodox priesthood and the clergy or Catholic clergy don't know. No human being is capable of divine interpretation. But what I can tell you is this: I'm a firm believer of the fact that the best way to interpret what a Jesus priding world or a world centered around Christ would look like is to get a spiritual father and go to a church, preferably, obviously, I'm Orthodox, I'm biased, an Orthodox one, and to seek guidance regularly from a spiritual father like a priest, right? In order to determine exactly what you should be looking for in a Christ led life.
Okay. That's one way. That is a way. I truly believe that Jesus was about that personal relationship with God and Him, right? And I think that's the idea from God for us, is to give us a personal relationship, the likeness of God given to us in the divine image of a man, right? And as I understand what was written in the hierarchy of things, it is Jesus is above the angels. And if I'm not I know there's words in the Bible that support these ideas. I just can't remember where I came across them. But the idea that when we align with the spirit of goodness and love and Christ, right, the Holy Spirit, we humble ourselves to be with that. We are with God. And as we are with God here on earth, the angels are singing. They're singing about our glory because they know the true glory of God. They know the true glory of Christ, and they know the true glory of you and I when we align with Christ, with God. All we got to do is believe that we are and that we can. But so many of the churches and so many of the governments, so many of the traditions, we've been taught to look down on each other, taught to look down on ourselves. And it's resulted in this sick game of war and risk and monopoly, real life. But please,
Well,
what's been going on?
Jack, do you think that pride is a sin, right? Do you think there's a good element, right, to humility and modesty in a human being?
Pride blocks out humility, and humility is required to truly understand. So is pride a sin in and of itself? Not necessarily, but excessive pride certainly becomes a sin.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would say it's the biggest sin. My priest frequently tells us that it is harder for a prideful person to get into heaven than any other seven deadly sin.
AVG, yes, because love reveals heaven, and the prideful don't know love. They know themselves. So that makes perfect sense. And initially, my first reaction when you offered that was to press back about pride being one of the worst, because to me, dishonesty is. But for someone to be dishonest, they're probably pretty prideful or afraid.
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand. But all sins are detrimental, right? Like One of the stories that my priest has told me is the one of a person who starts off eating a cupcake every day in the evening as a treat, right? And then the person becomes fat. And the person thinks, oh, I'm fat. I don't deserve actual love, right? And so the person becomes promiscuous. And when the person becomes promiscuous, the person gets an illness of the nether regions, right? And that person feels undesirable and they can't find love, right? So they lie. They lie and say that they don't have the illness. And then they get other people ill. And one of the people that they get ill is actually very litigious. They try and extort that individual, right? For money. And then that person injures them. So now they've injured another person. Somebody witnesses the injury and they try and come forward to the police. And then the individual who started off eating cupcakes has now ended the witness's life. And so it might just seem like a cupcake in the evening, but it can quickly progress. Sins compound sin. And before you realize, you might be in a deeper situation than you started in.
And you're killing hookers in an alley.
Yeah, you can just state it bluntly. Yes, you could go from eating a cupcake every night to ending prostitutes' lives in alleyways. Yes.
It does happen that
That's
way.
like giving up cheeseburgers.
What was that, Denizen?
I'm giving up cheeseburgers.
What you said is absolutely true. Life is the natural order, so that which is created is given life, and if we give it attention and sustenance, it grows. It goes with our sins as well. If we choose to have sin in our life and we don't reject it, it's going to grow. We're going to find, and it follows in my observations and my interpretations, it follows a pretty natural flow and order. It makes sense that we would. If we're going to stray from the truth, if we're going to stray from God's love, we're going to be out of touch with the reality. And when we're out of touch with reality, we're on our own. And then our mind gets frantic and starts thinking, and we overthink. And God's got us perfectly designed. I wrote this down earlier today. What was it? The complexity of life puts the prideful to sleep. The complexity of life puts the prideful to sleep, because the prideful will convince themselves they know it all, and then they won't pay as close attention. They'll start just going through the motions, and the next thing you know, they're asleep. They're fighting the same battles over and over, day after day. Panel verse, Tommy, I see you in the back. Fighting the same battles day after day. Can we
What
have?
are you laughing about, Jack?
Can we have pleasant conversations, or do
No,
I need?
because I had 17 fucking battery % left because you've left me back there. What do
We can try
Oh.
another day.
I was gonna say I'll use the loo while he gets his anger out. I do feel the urge. Would we like to have somebody else speak, and I'll take a quick loo break?
Actually, I'm thinking we should start wrapping
Oh,
up.
you winding it down? Okay, no worries.
Yeah, I think so.
Does that mean you're coming to my place?
I wasn't planning on it.
No, it's her. She said she was taking a loo break.
It's British for the restroom.
Oh, it would be better if you just come over.
No,
Whatever.
no.
That's Lou, if you've not met him yet, by the way. He considers himself to be a charming man, and once in a while he might be.
No, I aspire to be the dirty old man. It was since I was a child. I'm getting closer and closer.
Cool. You're working to achieve your goals. Anyway, Lou, I know you showed up late. I know I left you in the back for a while.
I'll just say, and I'll get out of here. I just wanted to chime in on the idea of the whole capital thing and Jesus and give unto Caesar, all that stuff. I mean, if he said, Dennison was saying that Jesus said that taxes was his problem, basically, which I agree with. But well, my understanding is he wasn't necessarily against capital, but he was against usury. He was against the changers of money. So, what is it to change money? From my understanding, changing money from something sterile to something fertile. So you can't, just by the fiat currency we live in is a system where money is fertile. It creates itself by itself. And that's not how money's supposed to be. So that's what I believe he was against, right? The idea of enslaving people through usury. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Lou.
Take care, buddy.
Hey, you, buddy. Much love, my friend. Anyone else? Final words? Any particular order?
Absolutely, Jack. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for indulging this conversation about leadership. Despite the disagreements, I think it was a respectful discussion, and I am happy that we had it. If I may, I would like to quickly show my channel. May I?
Please do. Yeah, please.
Yes. My username is right below in the white lettering at ABG, Female Debater. I host debate panels. I regularly do content reviews centered around debate, and I would love to have you on my show as a subscriber or even as a casual viewer until you wait and see. If you'd like to subscribe, follow me today. And thank you so much for your support.
Hey, much love. Absolutely. I've appreciated you joining. And our poll, thank you for dropping that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. I have I have enjoyed the conversations and the respect.
Till next time,
All right.
Jack. God bless.
Much love. Much love. Peace to you. Mitch or Denizen, either? Your preference?
Yeah, thanks for having me up, Jack. I appreciate the conversation from all who participated, and thanks for hosting.
Hey, much love. Appreciate you as well, Mitch. Thank you. Denizen, my brother.
You cannot serve both God and money.
No. Well said. Hey, and Andy, please make sure do subscribe, go debate, give her some support. I do appreciate, and yes, that's what I wanted to offer too. Thank you, DeFreak. Dennison, I do hope you feel a little better. Okay. Hey, there you go. New subscriber. AVG does make sense. Much love to you. And folks, please, if you will, give a little thumbs up, a little like to the old Jack Talcott, whether you like me or, whether you like me or not, just give a little support for what we're doing. I do have Pal vs. President in the back. For those who know Jack, I've got a soft spot in my heart for the man. Tommy, I let me recognize your patience. I appreciate that you've been so willing and so dedicated, willing to last so long with my rudeness in spite of that. But what I want to ask you to do is please take a breath and we can talk about things, but let's do so with peace and respect. Is that okay?
On the way to finding 500 people that spend the money you say you don't need to talk shit to my face, do they know that the most recent 150 went to your daddy? God knows how much more. Because Jesus never opposed money, Jack. Jesus never said money was evil. He talked more about money than anything else he talked about. He was not just some guy. He was God incarnate. All right. And you're just not having a conversation. You're not present. You're giggling to yourself while you play chats. And I made a fool of you and your narcissist daddy last night. And I called it. You avoided it. You showed back up today and you acted like yesterday never happened.
Oh, did
And
I?
I only came up for Andy. Andy, Jesus did not tell us to get rid of everything we have and wait for the end.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate
Shut up,
it.
Jack. I'm not done.
Oh, there's more for you?
He told that specific man who came to him and said, Jesus, this inheritance thing is happening with my family. Can you get more of the inheritance to come to me than my brother? And he told that man specifically, if you want to inherit the kingdom of God, sell everything you have. Don't fucking get up in the camera, Jack. You're gonna burn in hell, and I fucking hate you.
I love you, Tommy. The kiss might not have been appropriate. That might have been a little too far. Holy cows, brothers and sisters, you gotta have fun. You gotta have fun with what life brings, because sometimes life ain't that fun. But brothers and sisters, truly, the intention to walk with love, it becomes a practice. The intention to walk with love becomes a practice, opening opportunities to witness growth, right? Let today be a day to recognize, celebrate, unite with the timeless nature of God's love. God's love is eternal. It was there available for you before you were available for God's love. But it's true. If you seek it, you can find it. If you find it, you can know it. But if you don't believe that you can, where are you going to look? When will you look? The other part of this is, where are you lost from love? And where are you if you are lost from love? I suggest if you're lost from love, you're in your own hell. Okay? And only one person can get you out of your own hell, and it's you. And you're only going to get yourself out of your own hell through the grace of God. So allow the grace of God to be true for you and seek to be with the grace of God so you can be with that infinite, endless, eternal power and nature of God's love. I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope it comes through. I hope you understand what I'm trying to throw, what I'm trying to point at. Brothers and sisters, thank you again. Till next time, choose love, peace for everyone, walk with faith, and live without fear. Thank you again. God bless us all. Peace.